Are you struggling with what's stopping your vision? I like to call them vision crushers, and we all have to battle against what is trying to steal our dreams and our future. There's a few common ones you might be familiar with, and I'm going to call them out. Welcome to Create Your Vision. I'm your host, Kim Westland. I want to ask you, how many of you have done a vision board? I made one for specifically for this year, and I'm quite excited about it because it turned out amazing. And I'm quite crafty. I know it's fun to kind of get your friends together and do a vision board and cut up magazines or however you want to do it, kind of make a party out of it. But have you ever, after you put it all together and you look at it, have you ever thought, hmm, it's nice to think about, but it's kind of an unreachable dream? There is a bigger purpose behind creating a vision board and having a vision for your life. To have a vision is to understand and see the big picture for your life. When you write your vision down, it really helps you solidify the reality of it. And another way of putting it is, or I like to say, write the vision, make it plain. Vision is finding something that you can put your whole self into. It's the reason that you want to get up in the morning. I even believe it can be an antidote for depression because it's attached to your purpose. It can give you energy when you're having a bad day, and we all have those bad days. It influences the way you conduct your entire life. I like to say this. I love the quote from Miles Monroe. He says, "Sight is a function of the eyes, but vision is a function of the heart." And I will say that nothing noteworthy on earth was ever done without vision. Why is it important? I just want to kind of lay a foundation here before we get into what can actually crush your vision. It brings together your talents, your abilities, your gifts, your strengths, and your values. You have an assignment, a very unique one for your life, and we all have been designed so uniquely. There just are no two people the same. And I want you to really get that. I want you to understand how unique you are today. So that means that there are no two visions exactly alike. That's kind of fascinating to think about. It's like your fingerprints. It's meant to distinguish you from every other person on earth. And those unique talents and gifts really shouldn't be wasted. We're not just here to take up space. So the important question I want to ask today is, what can stop you from living your best life? Or in other words, what are your vision crushers that you need to be aware of? I'm going to say the first one is excuses. And it's a big one because I think that we can all come up with a pretty good excuse. I know for sure I can. When I don't want to do something, I think it's really easy to come up with a really good reason why. Our feelings can drive us to make an excuse. But I've realized I need to ask, what's behind the excuse? Sometimes we know what we should be doing, but we're really hesitant to take the first step. So, what are some common excuses? I think these are some that maybe a lot of you can relate to. I don't know how to do that. I'm scared. What will people think? I don't want to be uncomfortable. I have kids. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm too old. I know I've made that excuse in the past. I've made too many mistakes. When my children leave home, when I feel more confident. Those are some ones that just come to mind, but I know there's many, many more. After doing some work personally for myself, I found that the driver of all my own excuses have been the unknown. And for me personally, it's been about how other people perceive me. I've struggled a lot in the past with people pleasing, and that's really kept me trapped at times, and even the fear of failing. Because of these excuses, I realized how much it caused a delay in my life, and it became very, very frustrating. So I buck against excuses a lot now. Not perfect, but I definitely pay attention. So I like to say I can do it afraid, maybe feeling some fear, but learning how to take that small step anyway, and then another. Because once you take the first step, it's easier and easier to then take yet another step. When we make excuses, there's no steps forward. There's just no growth because there's no accountability. The opposite of making an excuse is taking that one step over feelings, regardless of the feelings, and choosing courage over fear or doubt. Historically, I have been great at starting a lot of things, but I have struggled in the past with finishing well and taking vision to the end. And that really ties into excuses as well. I tend to start a lot of books and projects and different things. And I've really had to work on this because I believe you can be brilliant and yet never finish anything because of excuses. So for me personally, I've committed to be a finisher. The second thing I want to bring up in terms of vision crushers is your past or your current circumstances. When we set out sail in life, I'm going to use a boating analogy. We're kind of excited. At least I know I was when I was starting out in my 20s. I was so excited about where I was going. I just saw possibility everywhere. I always had a big vision for my life. Nothing when I was growing up really specific came to mind, but I knew I always wanted to have a lot of impact and do something big. I'm a big dreamer. So in my early 20s, just to tell you a little bit of my background, I got married really early on. And after I got married, 5 years later, I ended up divorced. That was not what I had planned on. As I continued on after the divorce, I got remarried not too long after that, had a child, and then ended up divorced again. So a lot happened in my 20s that really rocked my world. I didn't plan for any of that. And I'm going to tell you that was where I hit rock bottom, was after a series of failed marriages, failed relationships. I experienced bankruptcy. I didn't have a home that I could call my own. My daughter and I moved in with my parents, and I didn't have a job at that time. I didn't even have a car for a short period of time until I was gifted one. I went on welfare for a time. And so then I found myself a single parent. And that was a lot to take in all at once. So that was one of my really challenging times in my life. And my boat had taken on a whole lot of water. And I was focused on getting the water out of the boat, so to speak, instead of where I was heading in life. I had lost all of the vision that I had. It just had gone away. It wasn't in my focus anymore. I really got stuck and discouraged until I recognized the situation and what it was stealing from me. My vision had to become bigger than my circumstances. And that's when things started to turn around for me. It was a decision on my part. But those life-altering situations can stop us in our tracks. And I don't want to make light of it. That was my situation. Somebody out there, people out there probably going through different things. We are not meant, though, to be cemented in our past circumstances. Our vision, or what we were born to do, doesn't change. Even though we go through some of these hard things, that doesn't change in the end. The path and the picture of what it looks like might change, but there's more than one way to your vision. And I hope that gives somebody a boost today, because it did give me that boost. I had never envisioned my life going the way that it did. So I want to ask you, what's keeping you stuck? Where's the bottleneck? What's keeping you from moving forward toward the vision for your life? If you've gone through a very traumatic experience, I think recognizing what is keeping you where you are from not moving forward is the first step. We sometimes avoid dealing with the hard stuff, but what are we giving up by not addressing that bottleneck? The danger is getting to the end of our lives with regrets. Now, you're here and you can do something about it. That's the good news. So what's more important to you, your past or your future? Today, I really believe can be the defining day for your future. The last thing I want to mention in terms of vision crushers, because we only have time for 3 today. There's way more, but the 3 big ones: distractions. And what is a distraction? There's so many different distractions, but it's basically anything that is vying for your attention over what you should or need to focus on. We live today in such a distracted world. There are more distractions now, I believe, than ever before. And as wonderful as these little devices are in keeping us productive, they're incredibly distracting. It's not realistic. to just put our electronics away and not pay attention to them. They're just ingrained in how we work today. But the question is, and only you can answer this for yourself, how much distraction does your phone or your devices, whatever electronics you have, how much distraction does it cause you? Outside of getting work done, how much time do you spend scrolling? This is not a new question. But in the context of vision and the goals and the dreams you have for your life, how much is a distraction like this costing you? What are you exchanging for it? And is it worth it? Is this little device worth you missing watching your kids play at the park? I am so amazed at the parental distraction that I see in the world right now. And I know none of us are perfect in that area. I'm not saying I have not done that as well. But it is a reason to pause and to think about how much are these distractions stealing from us. So if you have a vision for your family, think about what seeds are being planted by continually modeling that behavior to your children. It's hard to get mad at them when we're doing it ourselves. Okay. Now that I've stepped on every parent's toes, I will wrap this up. If your vision is super important to you, and I know it is, recognize these 3 really sneaky vision crushers so you can keep focused on your dreams and eliminate what's getting you off course. I'm here cheering you on to the life you've always dreamed about. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.